Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another video for you guys from Clyde. Now this one is a follow-up to the video that came out before that should be out before this one, which is a video focusing on Dangai Mugetsu Ichigo. Now the Fullbring arc, I know a lot of people are not fans of the Fullbring arc, and this is interesting because there's another video talking about how it's actually pretty good, and we could watch this, of course, maybe after this one. And we're going to be looking at just how strong the Fullbring Shinigami Ichigo actually is. So let's go ahead and full screen this. Let me just put my headphones on. And we're going to be watching the video in 3, 2, 1.
If you're a fan of Bleach, please hit that subscribe button. Let's support Bleach as a team until the anime returns. Because if you support me, I'll keep supporting
It is
Bleach
coming back. It's been
plenty of
confirmed.
content in the future.
Also guys, if you're a Bleach fan, join my Discord server in the description below.
I personally think one of the most underrated and underappreciated moments in the entire series of Bleach is the finale of Kurosaki Ichigo vs Kugo Ginjo, a moment overshadowed by the end of the anime and an arc in the series which tried its best to help give us some much needed character development of the main cast, something many claim the series lacked, and even though it was attempted in this arc, it did not get the reception I believe it deserved. Though the Fullbring arc may have its flaws,
I kind of enjoyed it. I didn't like it as much as the
specific moment
the Arankar arc, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
Is one of the coolest moments in the entire series. A moment I'll always remember, which came from the talented 2012 staff of Studio Period. And between you and I, this is my personal favorite form of Ichigo. In this video, I'm going to explain just how powerful this Ichigo is and clear up a lot of misconceptions around this iteration of Ichigo, as at first glance, the form doesn't seem as powerful as it actually is. So if you're this far into the video, please give the video a like and let's get into it. One of the most interesting feats shown in Bleach is definitely when Grimmjow uses the Kaha Nagashionn to seal Ulquiorra inside of a different dimension, which he believes Ulquiorra would only be sealed inside of for around 3 hours max with his level of power. Aizen developed this Kaha Nagashionn die-size object to be used in the special case that if one of the Espada were to go rogue or cause unneeded trouble, one of their fellow Espada could use it to temporarily seal them away. The reason I bring this up is because this form of Ichigo is also able to break out of a pocket dimension made by Yukio for Ginjo and Ichigo to fight inside of. This dimension is so large that it appears to be an entire replica of the world of the living to a T, as when Ginjo steals Ichigo's Fullbring powers, he was able to not only amplify the abilities of all of the Fullbringers to the point where they were a threat to high-class Shinigami, but it also amped Ginjo to the point where he was able to not necessarily do well against Bankai Ichigo, but he did put up a fight nonetheless. What's crazy too is that the powers Ginjo stole were, according to Rukia, just the surface of Ichigo's powers, and all he stole was the Fullbring powers. Ichigo's abilities as a Fullbringer were so strong that he was able to amp Ginjo to the point where he says if he didn't have them, he would have died from the first Getsuga Tensho that Ichigo fired while he was in Shikai form, and this power also directly amped all of the Fullbringers like Yukio. The reason the Dimension feat is so cool is because one thing we can establish from the feat shown earlier in the series is that Espada, who by just using a Gronrei Cero, or those of the rank of 4 and higher from merely transforming, could destroy Los Noches without the intent to actually do so. Now what makes Ichigo's feat so impressive is that with some calculating Los Noches to be anywhere from city level to the size of a state or small country if you use Nell's walking statement, comparable statements made about the size of the Soul Society earlier on and how long it takes to get from A to B in the Soul Society, alongside the theory which is actually backed by a lot of evidence that the inside of Los Noches was most likely a pocket dimension made by Aizen, as the area is so large that it has its own artificial sun, stretches on far beyond the human eye, and if someone like Yukio actually has the power to make something even larger, this should be a pretty small feat for Aizen to do so with Los Noches. Anyway, what makes it impressive though is that with all of the stuff I said hyping up the Espada from a previous arc and what they can do back then, Ichigo can do this by casually going Bankai for the first time in this form. In fact, his transformation into this filler Bankai form is so powerful that Rukia is in visible shock by its power. and Yukio claims that he actually has no way to open the Invaders Must Die black box pocket dimension, and that only Ginjo can with his verbal command. Yet Ichigo blows it open from a casual release of his Bankai. Shinji also states that a less experienced Ichigo, who is also nerfed by his Shinigami badge, and Zongetsu from around 200 plus chapters ago, had the ability to affect the entire planet with his spiritual pressure, just like fodder Shinigami like Rangiku could too, who actually need to wear seals to stop themselves from affecting the world of the living, which gives me further evidence that Yukio, who casually scales above both of these characters at that time, is in fact making an arguable complete replica of the world of the living, not just Karakura Town. This Ichigo casually breaks out of a dimension that is most likely larger than the Kaha Nagashionne, and it can't contain Ichigo's planet levels of Reiatsu, meaning he is casually surpassing the size of the entire world of the living and Los Noches, which seems to be the limit of Yukio's ability. To put it in short, this Ichigo could probably aim one of those Kamehameha looking Getsuga Tenshos at the Earth's core and destroy the planet if you want like a more literal way on how he could be planet level. It's as simple as that, really. This also isn't far-fetched to say so, considering Ichigo's Vasto Lorde form from the previous arc is said to be a threat to the entire world, and not only was Ichigo considered a war potential while in this form before he attained his real Shinigami powers, but Yamamoto, while suppressed and only having one arm, I'll explain why this is super important in my future Yamamoto video, is a threat to the entire Soul Society and more just by standing in Bankai and suppressing himself. And when Ichigo arrives, everyone including the Quincy's are shocked by his level of spiritual pressure when he appears. Now, I'm not saying he scales directly to Yamamoto, please don't get me wrong when I say that, but the Quincy's see him as a formidable threat just like they did with Kenpachi and Yamamoto at this stage in the war, further backing what I said about his level of power at this stage. After rereading these chapters too, in fact, after rereading Bleach at least 10 plus times, right, I completely missed that this man Ichigo, when he appears in the Soul Society, blitzed Shaz Domino so fast that he just went and vanished. Like, I actually forgot that even happened. That's how overpowered he is compared to these Quincy's. Now look, Shaz Domino ain't no top tier Quincy by any means, but I find that really damn funny because I forgot it even happened. That's how badly he got off screen. Before this happens though, Ichigo at this stage is being restricted by his Soul Reaper badge in the fight between him and Ginjo, so there's no reason for me to assume that he is weaker than his Vasto Lorde form at this stage in the war, especially because an interesting thing to think about when it comes to the characters shown in this arc, especially the Shinigami, is a little something called power cliffing. Now, power cliffing is basically the process of general power scaling across the series, usually improving for every character as a new arc starts. If you take arcs like the Chimera Ant arc in Hunter x Hunter, the War arc in Naruto, or even the Namek Saga in Dragon Ball Z, the main cast gets this passive boost in power to fit the level of villain they're facing, and this happens in the time skip of Bleach, alongside the fact that most of the characters are confirmed to have been training within the time skip. Now, this doesn't apply to every series, but in shonen manga, it's very prevalent,
definitely
and most people
mostly
seem
seen
to get
shown in the
confused
series
about this when it comes to Bleach. One thing we can substantiate from the Fullbring arc is that all of the captains and lieutenants that appear have all become considerably stronger. This also includes Ichigo, naturally. But not only are the feats shown by Ichigo against Ginjo and the Fullbringers, they're pretty impressive feats, right? And Ginjo thinks Ichigo would be a problem for the Shinigami that are there if he were to turn on them after learning the truth about the Shinigami badge. It's also more crazy to consider that all of this is stated while Ichigo is being nerfed by the badge itself. When Ichigo fights Quilge Opie, it's confirmed he doesn't have his Soul Reaper badge with him by Akon, who is actually trying to contact Ichigo to get his assistance in the Quincy invasion of the Soul Society, and Quilge, to even have a chance against Ichigo, he needs to absorb the surrounding Reiatsu in Hueco Mundo and do the fusion dance with Ion, who was someone of his level to begin with, and Quilge states he is surprised by the power of Ion and that he needs to tell the higher-ups to buff the power of Blood Vein. Anyway, what is insane about Quilge's scaling is that Quilge is so useless against this non-restricted Ichigo in Bankai that Quilge monologues to himself freaking out and talks about how his speed is the real issue here. Normally I used to have Quilge at around the same level as Ginjo, if not just above him really, because it's obvious that he's stronger, but the way I used to scale him was, yeah, you know, he's the next main villain above Ginjo, he's probably just above him in power, but knowing he fought against an unrestricted Ichigo makes him way more impressive, because the Soul Reaper badge is no doubt comparable to Gentei Kaijo, which can actually nerf Soul Reapers by 80% of their power. Now the reason I believe this is because Ichigo's power is definitely above the average Soul Reaper. We already know for a fact that throughout the majority of the series he's above captain level, and this restriction by Gentei Kaijo is placed on people like Rangiku who really aren't that strong, so there is no doubt in my mind that that's enough evidence to think he was being limited by around that much, on top of the fact that Zangetsu was also nerfing his abilities passively. Also, Quilge was able to blitz Orihime, Chad, and Urahara, all while they were off guard, and immobilize them in one blow each, then trap Ichigo in his jail ability. If it wasn't for Grimmjow appearing and killing Quilge, they most likely would have been killed there. Just to clarify, I do believe that Urahara could beat Quilge with no issue at all whatsoever, but the issue here is that he was caught completely off guard, so there's not really much he can do. And I think that people genuinely do underrate Quilge's ability, because he's definitely not like a full level Quincy, but he's definitely under there because his entire purpose and his responsibility was to take care of Hueco Mundo while Juha Bach and Harshvold were not there. Like, he's literally the leader of the division. One of the coolest feats that this Ichigo performs is when this Ichigo, who at the time did not have full access to his powers due to his Zanpakuto recently being broken thanks to Harshvold, gets out of the White Bone Hell hot spring, and the way that Tenjiro checks to see if both he and Renji are healed is to punch them directly in the stomach and see if they can take the punch. Now, I've read this chapter quite a few times, and at first I actually thought that the manga panels here were trying to hype up Renji, but what you actually see here is that Renji is not only putting on a fast and is shaking after taking Tenjiro's punch, but when he hits Ichigo, Ichigo instinctively reacts so fast that he fractures Tenjiro's hand, and Kubo doesn't even draw the actual hit itself. That's how fast Ichigo's implied to be. Also, to add more to this to show the strength difference between Renji and Ichigo at this stage, Renji was hit by a fractured hand from Tenjiro, not an uninjured fist like Ichigo was too, so this makes the feat even more impressive. Straight after this happens, Tenjiro monologues to himself about his nickname, which revolves around his notoriety around him being super fast, and that was something that he was actually famous for throughout the Soul Society, further showing Kubo was putting emphasis on Ichigo's speed. Now, it's obvious this Ichigo has gotten stronger since the Ginjo and Juha Bach encounters, as characters in Bleach get Zenkai boosts when they heal after every battle, but it's still pretty damn cool nonetheless. Ichigo, while also training against Ginjo in the past, had to learn to fight with his eyeballs slashed, which actually helps with his sensory abilities and sharpening his reflexes. Want to know something even cooler than that? The Soul Society was so worried about Ichigo's power at this stage in the story that when they were aware he would learn the truth about the Soul Reaper badge from Ginjo, they sent Byakuya, Toshiro, Ikaku, Rukia, Renji, Yatsuru, and Kenpachi to the world of the living to see what his response would be after being told the truth. And as Ginjo implied, if Ichigo rebelled against the Soul Society out of anger for being lied to, they would have attempted to stop him or even kill him. Now, I do love Kenpachi's reply to this, because he basically just says, huh? Whatever, dude, I came because I had nothing else to do. I'm not like you guys, which is a really admirable piece of honesty here. It's actually kind of wholesome that Kenpachi has so much love for battle and a liking for Ichigo that he would never even consider doing this if the Soul Society asked him to. Of course, I find it hard to believe that the rest of them would too, because they actually all like Ichigo, but that doesn't take away from the fact that this is the level of a threat Ichigo was seen to potentially be if he was to turn on the Soul Society. Ichigo was also so strong that neither the Oronka Quincy, who has a name that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce because you guys will complain in the comments, and Quilge Opie couldn't steal his Bankai. Now, this could be because of the hollow powers mixed with his Shinigami Reiatsu, just like how Urahara gave the Shinigami hollow pills to combat the Bankai stealing pendant that the Quincy's have, but it seems to be the case that it's just because of how powerful Ichigo is, just like the case with Yamamoto, as Ichigo had basically no trouble with either of them, and they were both shocked at his power. If you just look at the first Quincy that appears against Ichigo, right, not even in the same league, basically a filler character, Quilge on the the other hand though, he actually needs to fuse with Ion to even be a threat or even combat Ichigo, and even still, he can't even tag Bankai Ichigo, so even he isn't in the same league as this Ichigo. Also, basically every captain that is conscious in the actual war when he appears, some of the strongest Quincy's, Hushvolth, and Juha Bach seem to have a very similar expression on their faces towards this Ichigo's arrival as Hushvolth did towards Kenpachi's arrival, further backing that this unrestricted Ichigo is in fact a worthy opponent for most of the Quincy's before he even gets his true powers. But this Ichigo was also pretty damaged when he appeared in the actual war and had just finished fighting the Fuse Quilge alongside expelling a lot of his power inside of Quilge's jail ability, a feat that even Juha Bach is surprised he could accomplish. Now of course it is clarified later on that he most likely broke out of it because the jail is meant to never contain Quincy's, but regardless, whatever, he still did use a lot of his power when he was inside of the jail. It doesn't make much of a difference to what I said. One more crazy feat that even I skimmed over was this Ichigo, who isn't at full power, was able to not only block multiple attacks from the real Juha Bach and do better than Kenpachi, who fought against the fake Juha Bach while his eye patch was off. In fact, it's so blatantly off that Kubo showed us a close-up of his face where the eye patch is off, right? But after he survives the slash to the neck from Juha Bach, he shoots what looks to be either a quick Getsuga Tensho or just an amplified swing, right? And it blows off the sleeve of Juha Bach and burns his left arm. Juha Bach later says that he wasn't at full power when attacking Ichigo and then proceeds to attack Ichigo at full power, but he is stopped because they're running out of time. But the thing you need to remember is that neither was Ichigo too. He wasn't at full power in this battle. Just consider this, guys, so you can comprehend just how powerful this version of Ichigo is implied to be by the author. This version of Ichigo is the manifestation of him getting his Shinigami powers back, very similar to the ones that he had in the Espada arc, where it's not full-blown Shinigami abilities where he has his own unique power and so on and so forth. It's essentially referred to as a mock Bankai by both Ukiura and Grimjaw, but the difference with this one is that it is a mixture of Rukia, Renji, Byakuya, Toshiro, Ikaku, Kenpachi, Shinji, Rongiku, Unohana, Hinataro, Ishin, Urahara, Yoruichi, and even Yamamoto. All of their spiritual pressure was fused together to make a blade so that Rukia could stab Ichigo with it and give him his Shinigami powers back. That is how much he is being amped. Now, I'm not saying he's getting the power of every single one of these individuals, but the fact that he is this huge bowl of spiritual pressure being mixed together, there's no surprise as to why he is this damn overpowered when he first appears in the war. And with all of these encounters involving this Ichigo, where he was nerfed for the majority of those battles by the Soul Reaper badge, and even without the Soul Reaper badge, he was still being nerfed by the manifestation of Juha Bach inside of Ichigo's inner world, Zangetsu. This form, Fullbring Bankai Ichigo, is extremely underrated. Anyway guys, if you enjoyed this video, please do me a quick favor and go check out my video that I uploaded last week, which is actually me explaining the speed of characters in Bleach. I'd really appreciate it a lot because the video got nerfed a lot by the ad at the start, and basically, to give you guys a quick rundown, the way that videos grow is all about how long people stay on the video, and a lot of people clicked off of it because of the ad at the start, which that really can't be helped. But if you guys go onto that video, leave any comment that you want, and at the end you put hashtag Bleach Speed, I'll go over to the video and I'll love heart all of your guys' comments. But yeah, if you could, I don't know, share the video around, give it a watch if you haven't seen it before. It's a pretty educational video when it comes to Bleach related feats and just power scaling, so I'd really appreciate that a lot if you could support that video. Also, go give me a follow on my social medias below. If you could support my Instagram, give me a follow. I post real life stuff on there. Follow my Twitter, I use that every day. And of course, follow my Twitch because I'd like to stream more. If I hit 2,000 followers on Twitch, I'm almost there. I'll stream on the day that I hit 2,000. But yeah, there you go. That's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Got more Bleach content coming very soon. I have a pretty interesting video coming next, which you guys will enjoy. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you all for watching.
Okay, that's it. So there it is. That's the video. And yeah, I mean, again, he said everything in the video. Fullbring Shinigami Ichigo is way stronger than people give him credit for, and I do feel like, again, this is a character that a lot of people tend to downplay exactly how strong he actually is, because I understand that a lot of people didn't really enjoy the Fullbring arc, and like I said, I do enjoy it less than the other arcs of Bleach, I will admit, but I do enjoy it for what it was. I do. I mean, I remember I didn't really like it at first, but going back and rewatching it honestly made me enjoy it a lot more than I did. Just once I decided to, put away what everyone was saying, and everyone at the time was saying, "Oh, the Fullbring arc is shit. It's horrible," or the Lost Agent arc, however you want to call it. But I decided to go back and rewatch it with a clear head, and I came away thinking, you know what? I may not have enjoyed it, like I said, as much as the arc that came before it, but I do still kind of enjoy it. I do. I really do. But anyway, guys, those are just my thoughts. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below about the video, and what are your thoughts on the not just the Lost Agent arc, but also just on Ichigo's character throughout that entire arc. What did you think of it? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? And as always, guys, if you have your own video that you want me to watch, let me know about it in the comments by telling me the title of the video and the YouTube channel that has it, so I know where to find it. Remember to also leave a like, share the video if you haven't, and consider subscribing if you're not. And also do me a favor and check to see if you are still subscribed, because I know for a fact YouTube sometimes does unsubscribe people without their notice. So do me a favor, just check to make sure that you are still subscribed if you did click on the subscribe button. And if you didn't subscribe, maybe consider subscribing, and it'll really help me with the algorithm. And also remember to click on the bell icon to let you know whenever I post a new video or whenever I go live. With all of that said and out of the way, thank you so much for listening and or watching. And remember to stay safe and take care of yourselves. And guys, please join me for the next video. Bye for now.